This is my tattoo testimony. So this is the first tattoo I got. This is the he's greater than I. And it's funny because a lot of people, when they talk to me about it, they ask me like, what is that, heavy? What is that? What is that, heavy? And so it's not, and I kind of made it that way so that people kind of ask about what it is. And you know, when I got home from my friend taking me to go get my tattoo, I had this giant bandage on my arm. My parents were freaking out. They're like, what the heck did you do? Like, are you okay? Like, did you need to go to the hospital? And then when I took it off and they saw I got a tattoo, they were kind of like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Because like all my doctors said no. All my parents like, you gotta listen to the doctors. And my doctors were definitely not happy about it, but you know, it was something that I felt like I needed to do at the moment.
No. I use you as an example a lot.
I was raised Catholic, but so I kind of really turned away from it when I was growing up, and I didn't like the idea of religion, didn't like the idea of Christianity. In fact, I even hated it. Like, I considered myself an atheist growing up most of my life. And then when I did get sick, when I got diagnosed with leukemia when I was 16, like, my world got rocked. Like, everything changed. And so I went from being like this, you know, 16-year-old kid with no cares in the world to having cancer and thinking I'm gonna die. And so when I was going through the chemo and I was getting chemotherapy and radiation for the first 2 years, that was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. That was when the chemo was the roughest, and that was when it was the most intense. And like, I would spend weeks at a time in the hospital, like by myself. And those were the points in my life where, like, you know, there were times when I was in the hospital by myself, getting chemo dripped into my body, and you know, throwing up in the bathroom, and like being by myself and alone, where like your thoughts kind of drift on to, what am I doing? Why bother with this? This is awful. Like, why am I continuing to do this? And it was kind of at that point, like, where I was like, basically, why do I still want to even be alive? Like, this isn't even worth it. I don't want to have to deal with this. 2 long years of that, and hitting rock bottom is what kind of drove me towards, you know, getting this tattoo. And it was something that, you know, going through all those things, and going through the chemo, and going through the radiation, and struggling with that for 2 years, and when I got this, I could, after this point, like, this is kind of like the part of my life that kind of transitioned from being sick to, I could see the end of it. Like, I could see, I only had like a couple more months left. I had like 10 months left of chemo when I got this tattoo, which is still a lot, but you know, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. For me, he was stronger than I in the moment, and he was greater than what I could do by myself. And without that, I don't think I would be here. And I pity the people who have to go through the same things I've gone through without faith, because you have nothing. Your body's depleted, your mind's depleted, and without something greater, you can't do it. And that's why I picked this, is he is greater than I. And this tattoo, last summer, my grandmother passed away, and she was a big influence on my life. She was the one, when I was younger, when I was a young boy, to kind of introduce me to like Christianity. Like, she brought me to start like the, you know, the vacation Bible school stuff. She brought me to church on Sundays, and like different from what I was used to. And she's really the one who like planted the seed in my life, and like was the first person to really show me what it is to, you know, live like a Christian and live like a child of God. When she passed away, I wanted to get something to kind of remember her by, and to like, you know, immortalize her. And like, I didn't want to get like a cheesy like big cross, like rest in peace grandma, because like I feel like she would kick my butt when we got to heaven. Like, she would be like, what the heck were you doing? Why did you get that giant disgusting tattoo? So me and my dad decided to both get the same tattoo, and it's just Roman numerals. It's just the date. It's her birthday and the day she passed away. It's just a kind of a way for me and my dad to kind of remember her and remember like her memory, and I think for me it means a lot more because, you know, this is the person who like really was the first influencer of my life, the person who I can look back on my life and see like she's the first person to kind of plant that seed. I'm so happy to have had my grandmother in my life to even guide me to that point, because, you know, without her influence in my life, I wouldn't have ever gotten to this point. You know, this point where I have my tattoo and I have a place I can look back on my life on my body to remind me of where I was and where my mindset was and what I was thinking about. And I'm so grateful, and that's why I have these tattoos, is because it's just a constant reminder for myself of that, how blessed I am and how lucky I am.